This is Valerie Guillaume, and today in this video I am going to be exposing a Canadian lawyer who works for the local government in Canada. She works for the municipal government in their legal department. Her name is Jennifer Bruce, and I am going to expose to the world her discreditable conduct, which also goes against the code of conduct for lawyers that is set by the Law Society of Upper Canada. This woman is the senior legal counsel for the region of Peel in their legal department. The region of Peel, the regional municipality of Peel, is the local Canadian government. It has been carrying out persecution of me, and I'm going to go into details. But let me first talk about this lawyer. So what she has been trying to do, because this is a big conspiracy that also involves other aspects of the Canadian government, because what they are doing is to go against the International Human Rights Standard, the treaty that Canada signed with the United Nations under the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, particularly regarding to people who are from vulnerable groups or marginalized groups, or those who are facing such situations like myself, like homelessness, and are in need of adequate housing. So what has happened right now regarding this corrupt lawyer, and there's a complaint against her with the Law Society for her conduct right now. What she has done over the last 48 hours and continues to do up until today, she managed to get a court order against me, evicted me from the shelter. However, I also got a stay of that order, got the certificate of stay, which is proof that the stay was granted of the order, took my certificate of stay to the sheriff's office, and file it with the sheriff's office like I'm supposed to do on this sub-rule 4. She's supposed to file that order with the sheriff's office. She hasn't done that. What she has done is twice over this long weekend instructed the police through the shelter management and staff to come to the shelter and try to enforce that eviction order against me. And I had to let the police know that they don't have that authority. That has been given to the sheriff's office, not the police, to carry out an eviction from a court order. So they showed up again this morning. This is Tuesday morning, okay? The date, 28th. But I've told her this morning, this crooked lawyer, that I will be discussing this matter in the media, because if she thinks she's going to secretly carry out the agenda of this Canadian government, to carry out torture against me, to force me to become homeless, against international human rights standard, because all of this is coming from the local Canadian government under the International Convention on the Law of Treaties in Vienna. The local government is just as obligated as the federal government in respecting those human rights treaties, especially the one on housing. So they're trying to distance themselves and saying, well, it doesn't apply to us. Can you imagine that this corrupt Canadian government that signed the human rights treaties not to abuse people's rights when it comes to housing and to assist in providing adequate housing with the security of tenure, which I don't even have at the shelter. Everyone there knows that I'm being harassed by the shelter management and staff, because there's a conspiracy of corruption going on. I'll tell you what they did on the weekend. That should be outrageous. 4:30 in the morning, they called the police to put me out on the street. So the police walked in and they gave the police a copy of the court order, which they should have filed with the sheriff's office. I had to enlighten the police when they showed up that A, there's a stay on that order. They wanted the police to carry out an eviction against me at 4:30 in the morning. And according to the police, they were supposed to have me transferred outside of the region of Peel to some drop-in place called Sisterin. That is not a shelter. That is a drop-in. And now I'm not only speaking on behalf of myself, because this is something that Christian comment, she's going to get fired. She's going to get fired because not only has she abused her power, she is so corrupt. If you want to evict someone from the shelter, why are you going to choose 4:30 in the morning and then to literally try to put them on the street? And she's working under the directive of this corrupt lawyer, Jennifer Bruce. I want all of her colleagues to know that this woman do not respect the legal proceeding. So she's going to be facing a contempt of court because she's really going against the court proceeding, because the court proceeding is that when you get an eviction order, Jennifer Bruce, you're supposed to take that order to the sheriff's office and have it enforced through the sheriff's office. When I was at the sheriff's office on Friday to see if she filed that order, she didn't file it. They advised me, which I already know, because other councils have also advised me, that unless they get a new order lifting that stay, the certificate of stay of that eviction order will remain in place. What the lawyer Jennifer Bruce has been doing, sending the police 3 times now to the shelter to go through this back door, avoid filing that order with the sheriff department, wants the police now to carry out that eviction order because she has a problem with the stay of the eviction order. What she needs to do is to go back before a judge and argue against that stay. She's not supposed to take it upon herself outside of a courtroom and interpret the law like that and then decide on her own, I don't have to file this order with the sheriff department. I can just call the police and have her evicted. Or I can tell her that this stay does not apply. Well, I wouldn't have gotten a certificate of stay if I didn't get a stay. That's common sense. The certificate of stay is proof that the order has been stayed. That has been filed with the sheriff's office. If she wants to change anything, she needs to get a new order to lift that stay. Take it to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff will enforce the new order. She has no new order right now. When I was in front of the sheriff's office on Friday, because she was threatening to get the sheriff to evict me on Friday, and I went up to the court, to the sheriff's office, they had no new order other than what I filed with them. So when the police showed up at 4:30 in the morning, after they showed up several hours earlier, and I had to repeat myself that this is supposed to be done by the sheriff, this is not the jurisdiction of the police to enforce an eviction order. Okay, I'm not in that shelter randomly. I was put back in that shelter by the court. I had to go to the court, so now this is no longer between myself and the landlord or whoever it is. It is the government that owns it, funds it. So as a landlord or owner of that shelter, the local Canadian government is trying to put me out in the street. Not just put me out in the street, but to do that at 4:30 in the morning? Isn't that cruel and unusual treatment and torture under the Rome Statute? That's what they're going to be facing. But before that happens, she's facing a disciplinary conduct with the Law Society because she's not supposed to do anything that goes against the administration of justice. She's not, as a lawyer practicing in the province of Ontario, to do anything and that goes against the administration of justice. And she knew that when she tried to enforce that eviction order outside of going to the sheriff's office and filing it with the sheriff's office and leave that up to the sheriff's office to enforce, she is going against the administration of justice. She can be charged for contempt of court. She can be charged for obstructing justice. She can be charged for breach of public trust. And I'm charging her with all 3. That is the lawyer Jennifer Bruce.